And it's gonna be none other than, let's see, I've got stuff written down about them too, so I can collect my thoughts. All right, you ready? Drum roll. First card is Guided Vanguard Hunters. There it is. Get your Gyazos and screenshots out. There it is. So, as you can see, it's a 4-corner damage card. It's one of the Vanguard Hunters. And I even looked up the lore for these guys. How about this? I'm going to read you the lore off of their war scroll first. Vanguard Hunters are daring raiders and expert scouts who prosecute the war against chaos in the most challenging environments. These veterans can turn the tide of battle in one bold action, loosing shots into the foe as they dash through the fray. So there you go. That's a 4-corner damage card. It's just a solid damage card in general. It's a common, as you can see. Order unit, 6 damage over 4 corners. It could work well with things like Aetherwing Scout, I suppose. Anything that buffs the damage is fine. And it's got that nice little heroic ability thrown in where you can move it from a champion to a disengaged champion, so you can avoid damage reduction and stuff. So for a common, I think this card has got a lot going for it, honestly. It's good, consistent damage, and it also has that nice little added bonus of being able to move it. Yeah, so I just think it's a really, really solid card for a common. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that it's a common, because it's got that extra heroic act in it, which is pretty neat. And the heroic act doesn't have a penalty to it, like it doesn't rotate the card an extra corner or anything like that. So, yeah. Actually, that'd be kind of a buff, but you know what I mean. So there's that. That is card number 1. Any comments on that? Anything I'm missing here? It lets you, I suppose this also lets you reposition it to benefit from Blessed Weaponry a little bit more too, if you're running that in your order deck, which is probably going to be happening. So I think, yeah, if you're going for like a damaging Stormcast deck, this fits in. I think this fits in pretty decently too with some order control decks as well, since it's just kind of damage grinding in there over a series of turns. But yeah, good card for a common. Alright. The Vanguards are really cool. I liked playing that Warband in Shadespire or in Warhammer Underworlds. That was fun to play. But yeah, there you go. So, and that was the teaser from the top right side of that. Yep. Yeah, you can move him N6 damage. It is a really, really good common. So that's a hype one to start with. That's for sure, right? Alright. Are you ready for card number 2? Should we move on already? Press 1. Let me see 1 in chat if you want to move on to card number 2. Let's see. We can just talk about the Vanguard Hunters some more, you know. If you want to do that, yeah. There's 1-1. All right. Okay, let's move on. Here we go. It's time for card number 2 from the Destruction Grand Alliance. The Grand Alliance that needs a lot of buffs, frankly. It's just too weak. Just too weak. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. It's the Moonshield Grot. There you go. It's another common. It's another 4-corner card. First corner doesn't do anything. I have no lore written down for this aside from their grots in italics. So there you go. There's Moonshield Grots. Reduce damage received from highlighted enemies by corner. Increase this by 1 per support. So similar in a certain way to the existing Meat Shield Grots. The difference is that Meat Shield Grots is more instantaneous damage reduction, where this is more damage reduction corners that will happen over, the course of the card's life. So this one, it's a common. I think if the thing is, Destruction doesn't really need this card right now with the cards that exist at the moment. They've already got Meat Shield Grots, which is a decent sideboard card if you're running the standard Destruction aggro kind of thing. So is this card going to see a lot of play initially? Nah, probably not. Depending on the cards that we get in Onslaught overall, maybe there's going to be some cool like Grot control decks that are going to come out of it when you're going to want more damage reduction cards in there, and then you would have a reason to run Meat Shield and run this. But yeah, my initial feelings on this one is that we're probably not going to see it a lot in the current meta. We're going to have to wait and see what the other Onslaught cards are to really tell if it's going to have a place in the game. But yeah, I don't know. It's 3 corners of damage reduction, so if you have enough support, it's not that bad. So if you need long-term damage reduction, I think it might have a place there, but yeah, I want to see the other Grot cards that are coming out for Onslaught. That's what I'm really curious about, because the other cards that come out for the set are going to really determine in my mind whether this card is going to get played or not. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily I wouldn't say it's a bad card. It's definitely not a bad card. It's just a card that right now Destruction does not need to excel. It doesn't need it to improve the decks that are the best in Destruction right now, and it doesn't really do much to enable other options. So again, there's a lot more cards coming out on Onslaught. We have to really wait and see what those are before we pass final judgment on this one. But there you go. Yeah, another Destruction comment. I think we can probably move past that one pretty quick. I am excited about the new Grot Sigmar army. That I played Destruction, so that's going to be fun to mess with. But anyway, so there you go. I think we're ready to move on to card number 3. I'm not even going to ask chat if you're ready. I think you want to do it right now. Let's do it. Card number 3. From the Order faction, it is a champion card. It is the Evocator Prime. There it is. A new wizard champion. Let's check it out. I've got lore. I've got lore prepared for this one too. Let me read it. From the War Scroll itself for the Evocators. Evocators fight with sword and staff. Their weapons linked together with chains of summoned power. The combination of heaven's blessed weapons and crackling storm energy makes the Evocator deadly indeed. And they are. These units, like in Age of Sigmar, the Evocators are serious business, man. They are good. But let's take a look at this wizard. So, what it does, increases damage from the champion's spells by 1 while the highlighted champion is engaged. So if your opponent has something on the other side, it increases the damage by 1. I kind of like this card, actually, because I played a Order double wizard like a direct damage deck where I was relying on cards a lot like what's the name of it again? Like Righteousness and Light of Sigmar, where they do that instant damage, and to just be able to buff that by 1, where one's doing 4 and one's doing 5 damage now instead of 4 and 3. I think that's pretty solid. So right away, I would put it in that deck that I enjoyed playing, my double wizard direct damage Order deck. And the fact that you have the removal and the damage reduction from those 2 cards as well is okay. I will agree though, the removal corner is a little bit confusing, because you want to have somebody across from you, you want the champion to be engaged, and the very first corner is removing what's across from you. So the removal corner is kind of anti-synergy with the benefit that the card gives you, but at the same time, I think it's still going to be a card that I'm going to play in that deck in like my next iteration of my Order direct damage deck, because it fits right in there. It's great, and it's only 5 cost on the champion side, so you can certainly afford it. You could even play it along with Celestin Prime, and go for a double wizard that way, which I'm kind of tempted with. Although I really do like the I forget the Aspect of the Sea. That's the one I like to run as my second wizard. But yeah, I think I'll probably try this one out anyway. I think it's solid. If you can get past the first corner too, it's not going to be too tough to rotate. But yeah, I think as well, yeah, if you're looking at the competitive format, I think it's a solid 5th champion as well to include if you're playing Order. I think you maybe start thinking about running Tactical Formation a little bit more if you're going to be running this guy, because you want to be able to shuffle him around and get him in front of somebody who's engaged to get that damage benefit. But yeah, a little bit odd to have the removal on the very first corner, but aside from that, I think it's a solid champion. I think the cost is good. I think the ability is nice. And again, like that specific deck that I like playing, which is the Order direct damage deck, would benefit from this guy. So I am excited about trying him in that. And yeah, we might get, who knows, we might get even more damage too, right? Something that damages and removes. You're absolutely right. There's already a spell that damages and removes. I think it's, Light of Sigmar removes certain types of units. So that would come in, I think it would do its damage first, and then it would remove, if I've got that right. I might have my ordering wrong on that, but might already have a beneficial spell from that one. But yeah, I mean, just 1 extra damage to a spell is nothing to laugh at with the amount of with the 2 corner 1 damaging spells that Order already has access to. So yeah, I think it's solid. I think it's a good solid champion, and I'm gonna give it a try. So there you go. Not to mention the guy's got an amazing light beard. Check it out. He's got like a crazy beard of light. He's like, hey, I'm a hero of old, reforged by Sigmar himself, but the greatest boon he gave me is this beard of light. Ah, yes. So, there's 1 card left. 1 more card to reveal here. Are you ready? Hit 1 in chat if you're ready to see the final card, the final reveal. The one that I'm the most excited about personally. I saved it for last because I'm super pumped about this card. I think it's going to be very good. But we'll see. We'll check it out. Ready? The final card for the reveal. From the Chaos faction. A unit. The one. The only. Brazen Skull Grinder. There he is. Let me read the lore first, then we'll digest this. He's a rare Chaos unit, and here's the lore for the Chaos Skull Grinder. Trailing sulphurous flame, the chained anvil of the Skull Grinder roars through the air like a dark mockery of Sigmar's twin-tailed comet. The cornate smith swings his mighty weapon in wide, bloody arcs, smashing bone, pulping flesh, and crushing skulls to draw down the blessings of the blood god upon his comrades, but mostly on himself. I added that last part, but it's true. We know how Skull Grinders are. Anyway, yeah, look at that card. That is insane. Okay, it is a rare, so there is that. But he sits there, and he does 2 damage every single turn. Now, the damage can be modified, and he does do 1 damage to you as well. But his heroic act is remove himself and the 2 units to the side, so huge last stand enabler, right? And not to mention, you can benefit from all sorts of cards like Blood Sacrifice, where you damage yourself and draw cards, Rejoice and Slaughter for a little bit of burst draw there. He makes Pain-Induced Fury better. Yeah, and he can just sit forever. He's a grinder, man. He's just gonna grind you down, right? Or grind your skull down specifically. He does 1 damage to you too, but again, Khorne decks can benefit from that too. And another thing you could do potentially is enable a big Furious Strike by removing your own units. So say you have 3 units out, he removes himself and the 2 next to him. Suddenly you can get a huge Furious Strike for a little bit of extra burst damage. He's got great last stand synergy with stuff like Gorslick Skull Reaper, Fanatical Skull Fiend. I think he's just a really, really solid card that's going to fit in a lot of Chaos decks. If you want to play like a slower Chaos deck and just keep poking away at your opponent while you do other stuff like cast spells maybe, I would put this guy in there. But this card just synergizes immediately with like everything Chaos likes to do, which is remove their own guys, damage themselves, and just sit there and do damage. And again, he doesn't buff his own you can't buff that 2 damage, but it's still 2 damage each turn, which is of course nothing to like. If you showed me a card that had a 2 on each of the corners, I'd be like, that's a pretty high damage card. So this guy just keeps doing it. It's insane. Yeah, he doesn't rotate at all. He only sits there and does damage, and then if you use a heroic act, he's removed. So that's kind of how that works. Because if you notice the bottom units affected are himself and the 2 ones next to it. So he removes himself and the 2. But yeah, holy crap, Brazen Skull Grinder is an amazing card. Yeah, that's really, really good. So when they saw these cards about a week ago, I was like, oh man, Chaos is getting a really good one. It's probably my favorite rare I've seen in a while, because I think it does a good job of being individually good and then also just fitting in really well with everything that the faction likes to do right now. But I will say, I will use this platform to again say, please give us Nurgle and Slaanesh in Chaos. We need a little few more of the Chaos Gods. I mean, Tzeentch and Khorne's cool, but there's other Chaos Gods too. I know it's going to come later, but it's okay. But yeah, really, really strong cards. So just to go through all of them again, we've got Guided Vanguard Hunters, great solid damage common, good stuff. It's really amazing that you can move them around. That's a really good ability for a common card to have. Good card for Order overall. Moonshield Grot, meh, Destruction doesn't really need it right now, but again, don't pass judgment now. Wait until everything is out for Onslaught, and then we'll reevaluate this one. I think this card could fit in really well in a slower control type deck, which I'm hoping eventually will have, like Control Grots is going to be an archetype. That sounds cool. I think that card would fit in well with it. Then we had the Evocator Prime. Pretty solid order champion. First corner, again, a little bit odd because you want somebody to be across from you, so his first corner being a removal requirement makes this card a bit challenging more to use, but for 5 cost on the champion points, and for the fact that he buffs your own spell damage, it's hard to not like this card. I think it's fine. But yeah, Brazen Skullgrinder, absolutely the MVP of this reveal. Really, really amazing card. Very cool stuff. And yeah, so that's about it, man. That's about it, everybody. That's the card reveals. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Played a couple games there, revealed some cards, and yeah, chatted. I'll probably play another couple games here. Do that. I'm gonna just move this guy over here.